This is the new 2023 Honda CR-V Hybrid Sport Touring with all-wheel drive. Today we're going to check out all the features and then put it to the test. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. It's always been a nicely designed, well thought out, technically okay, compact crossover. But I've only ever had as much enthusiasm for a CR-V as I have for my own refrigerator. Works well, fits stuff, that's about it. With this newly redesigned CR-V, Honda is hoping that buyers get excited about this little crossover. It has fresh styling, more space, and this hybrid, it's not just about economy, it's also about driving performance. The model we're testing today is the Hybrid Sport Touring all-wheel drive. Price as you see it here, $39,845 US, including destination. The tires are a Continental Cross Contact in a 235/55 R19. Yes, these are 19-inch wheels. They're very good looking and they probably scratch very easy. Also, these tires are, of course, all-season radials, not designed for trail use, but they should be fine for around town. Under the hood is a 2-liter Atkinson cycle 4-cylinder producing 145 horsepower. This is combined with a pair of electric motors for a total system output of 204 horsepower. Instead of a traditional transmission, Honda's 4th generation hybrid uses what it calls a direct drive system. This employs a pair of electric motors that run in series when driving around town. One motor is a generator. Its main job is to make electricity for the second electric motor, the one that drives the wheels. In this setting, the gas motor is what turns the generator to make electricity, charging the integrated 1.1 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery, which then powers the drive motor. When needed, the system then switches into parallel mode, allowing the gas motor to power the wheels directly thanks to a lockup clutch added to the CR-V's hybrid system. This also allows it to tow up to 1,000 pounds when equipped with a hitch. Our tester is equipped with Honda's real-time all-wheel drive system, with various drive modes including snow, sport, and economy. EPA rates economy at up to 40 miles to the gallon in town and 34 on the highway. Hybrids are optimized for stop-and-go traffic, so they'll usually produce better numbers around town. Where many car makers are moving to a simple torsion beam rear setup, this one still has a multi-link, which should make it a pretty decent handling package. Also in the back here, hands-free cargo access. You get 39.3 cubic feet of storage behind the second row, folded flat for up to 76.5 cubic feet. Under the floor is nothing. There is nothing under there. So the big question is, can you sleep in it? Ow! Not really, because we have a big ridge here where it goes from floor to seat. So you would have to fill this in. Too bad. But there is a 12-volt DC socket back here. So that's nice. Entering the second row is interesting because where most cars, the second row doors only open this far, on the CR-V, they go a full 90 degrees. That is insane. It also makes getting in and out very easy. Okay, the seating position's actually pretty comfortable. I got tons of room for my legs. I mean, that is an epic amount of space. This is where this seat would be if I were actually driving. Tons of room, that's what I'm saying. I'm 6'1", legs torso proportionate. I can't remember the last time I had this much room in a compact crossover. That's insane. Also, I like that it's a flat floor, so you can put large objects side to side. You also get USB-C sockets, 2 of them, as well as second row vents. Take a note, other car makers. Up here we have fold-down armrest with integrated cup holders, and that's about it, but that's pretty good. You may have headroom. Nicely done, Honda. Okay, front row. Let's see what we got. Well, this is nice. It kind of reminds me of the Honda Civic, which I do rather like the interior there. The honeycomb pattern is the big Honda Civic giveaway right there. because of course the CR-V is based on the same chassis. It's just a crossover version of it. But there are a few things obviously different here. The hybrid system in this vehicle, not available in the Civic. Also, more ground clearance, so that's good. The seats are leather and they're very comfortable. I like this little contrast stitching with orange. I think it looks pretty nice. This is, of course, the top trim in the hybrid lineup, being the touring trim, so it does have all the bells and whistles. The steering wheel carries that same leather and orange stitching treatment. Feels really good in the hand. Little paddle shifters there for pretending I'm Joel Schumacher. And then, of course, we also have adaptive cruise control, collision mitigation, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alerts, all the safety stuff that you would expect in a modern vehicle. The gauge cluster here is a combination unit. On the right, we have a traditional dial, which is the speedo. On the left, we have a multifunction display that also gives extra information, like specifically regarding the EV setup. I can flip through a number of different settings here. Range and fuel, speed and time, audio, nav, driver attention, all-wheel drive torque distribution. Hello, that's one of my favorite little gauges. Now these seats also have 3 levels of heat. They do not have any ventilation available, which is kind of a little sad. When you're starting to get around 40K, that's kind of a feature that I like to see. This one doesn't have it. Down here we do have a very long transmission throw. I do like the buttons that Honda's been using in some of their other vehicles, but here they have the classic transmission selector, and it works. Going to reverse, we get a rear view camera, and we also get that angelic backup sound. Need to make sure that the kids don't get run over. We have drive modes here, which will essentially remap the throttle so that you can be more aggressive in sport. It'll be more progressive or slower to engage in econ, and then snow it'll also have a slower input so that you're not spinning tires. Doesn't really change a heck of a lot because we don't have adaptive suspension on this particular vehicle, but we'll see exactly what it does when we're on the road, I guess. We do get physical controls for the dual zone climate control. That's nice to see. And when I turn it, we can see the numbers reflected up in this digital display as well. And this is, of course, the infotainment system, which handles all sorts of functions, in addition to being the backup camera. Go to the home, and we have nice color coding on all the features here. I especially like the power flow screen because it really gives you a good representation of how your vehicle is currently acting in terms of getting maximum range. It shows that right now we have a range of 338 miles total combined range at not quite a full tank. We're actually a little bit shy here, so that's probably closer to 400 miles on a full everything. Quick shortcuts at the bottom. I love how we get shortcuts to other sections of the menu right here. It's not just like radio presets, it's actual like system presets. That's a cool feature. Of course, this also supports wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, all the stuff that you would expect. Going to general settings, we can take a look at some of the other stuff here. We have smartphone connections, display, sound, camera, voice control. Oh yeah, it has voice control. Let's try it. Navigate to the nearest Starbucks.
Searching for Starbucks. Select a line number.
There.
Starbucks.
Yeah, that is actually one of the closest ones we can go to. So that's pretty good. So the voice commands, they work. I wonder if I can change temperature. Set climate to 70 degrees.
Please say again.
Doesn't work. Okay, cancel. Of course, this also has a charging pad, which is important if you have a wireless system. If your mobile device does not handle wireless, we also have USB-A for data connectivity and USB-C just for charging, which is kind of annoying. I think everything should move to USB-C now. Honestly, you're spending almost 40 grand for a car. You can spend 20 bucks on a new cable if you don't happen to have a USB-C available. Next to that, 12 volt. Happy to see that there. Down here, we have twin cup holders, a little storage cubby, and then a bin. In terms of audio, it uses the Bose system. It's fine. I'm not terribly excited by it. So we've taken a look at all the details. Time to take this for a drive and see exactly how this direct drive dual electric motor gas engine system works without a transmission. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Right, let's go. Try at 0 to 60. Now we're in sport mode, and that's pretty much all I can do. Smosh the throttle. 3, 2, 1, go! A little slow off the start. Oh, it's funny. It sounds like it's shifting, but I'm not actually feeling any shifting. 8.65 seconds. That's really not that bad. I mean, it's not great, but for a vehicle that gets 40 mpgs around town, yeah, I'll accept that. So here we are in the 2023 Honda CR-V. Now, the CR-V itself I'm not terribly thrilled by, but I do like the idea of a hybrid. And this one in particular, not only is it fairly quick, I mean, all things considered, it also is very smooth and quiet. They've retuned the suspension. They also have acoustic glass on the front, and they've added more torsional rigidity versus the standard CR-V. This is like CR-V Deluxe. And it really pays off in driving it, because this thing, not only is it smooth, is it quiet, it's actually a little bit fun to drive. Not a lot of fun, but a little bit. Because this doesn't have a traditional transmission, it's not an automatic, it's not even a CVT. The paddles are not for shifting, they are actually for adjusting regen, very much like you would see on an electric car. And going from, you know, practically no regen when I lift off the throttle, I just roll. Add in all the way, and it really is more extreme. I can feel it dragging on those wheels. But that is very good at recharging that battery using basically free energy, kinetic energy. Now, normally the gas engine will be running the second electric motor as a generator to constantly charge the battery, which then constantly powers the other electric motor, which drives the wheels. But depending on where we're at and what we're doing, it'll either use the clutch to reconnect that gas engine to the drivetrain, or disconnected and then it's pure electric, but it's pure electric being driven by gas. It's a very confusing powertrain in this. The important thing are two parts. First off, that you do get that 40 miles to gallon around town, so it does pay off in terms of economy, but also, how does it drive? That is like the biggest question when you have such a weird transmission or lack of a transmission. And I would say it drives pretty good. Now, it emulates gears in a very weird way. You can hear it going rear, rear, rear. Even when it's shifting, it's not really shifting. It's mostly providing electric thrust on this lower end, re-engaging that gas engine for direct drive as we need it, like full throttle here. Obviously, it's going to kick that gas engine into work, and because it needs as much thrust as possible. So I've seen a few numbers thrown around on how much torque this vehicle produces, and it's way north of 200. It's about 240 or something like that. You don't really feel it a lot on anything other than at 0 RPM. When you're just getting started, you can feel that torque, but as you get higher in the range, it kind of goes away. In fact, it sounds really funny. Can you hear that? This is a very odd sounding vehicle. It just is. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. It's actually really fun to drive. Now, I'm in sport mode right now. I can, of course, go to normal or econ, and then there's also a snow mode. Don't need snow mode right here. What that does is it basically cuts power, and it engages that all-wheel drive system for maximum output from the start. Normal. Let's see what we got here for normal. Normal is going to have a balance of the two. Now, up on the screen here, I have a graph that is showing the current power flow as it goes from gas engine to battery to electric motor to wheels, and it's a very confusing kind of graph because it changes so often. I mean, usually these type of graphs, you're one way, then you're the other way. This one, it's like yada, 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 yada. Hey, very, very difficult to track what's going on there. But again, we come back to how does it feel when you actually drive? Throttle in, It's got power when I need it. It's not a ton of power, but it is responsive. And that actually that's kind of a big deal on these type of vehicles, because so often they can just be so lethargic with such a dead pedal feel. But this one, the pedal feel feels good. Not going to go to great, but it's pretty good for what it is. I love the steering wheel, and the feel of the steering isn't bad, again, for this class of vehicle. You're not going to get sports car handling on a vehicle like this. You're just not. But what I have here is a vehicle that's actually pretty fun to drive. You got a nice little twisty road here. Go over the bridge. Unsettling, yet car handles it okay. So I have to say, Honda has really impressed me with this vehicle. So often, the CR-V just hasn't done it for me. You know, it's so bland to the point of frustration. It's like it could be better. Well, finally, with this CR-V hybrid, Honda has made the CR-V better, to the point where I'm no longer frustrated with its sheer mediocrity. This is one step above. It's not a huge step, but it's an important step. Not everybody loves this infotainment, but I actually think it's pretty good. I like how easy it is to use. The color coding just makes finding what you want quick, very easy. The nav system, it's not great, but it does support off-road breadcrumbs, which is cool. And I like the quality of the maps. They're very, there's a lot of data there. Now, the one thing I don't care is it's a little on the slow side when you're in the maps. The maps have kind of like a little bit more detail than this processor can really deal with, but I still think that this is a good system. So I'm okay with this. This is not a problem at all. And yeah, it is tacked right here, but again, functionality-wise, it keeps it up near the eye line. It makes it easy to reach. No problem there. For me, functionality is more important than looks when it comes to something that you're interfacing with all the time. And I especially like that they have all the aircon down below with really nicely trimmed dials and buttons. Visibility is excellent. This does have an adaptive cruise control system. We don't have any vehicles in front of us right now, but let's go ahead and see what it can do on this super twisty highway, which is typically out of spec for a adaptive cruise system. So right now I'm going to go ahead and set my speed, and let's see if this system can stay centered around this twisty road. Again, this is beyond normal spec on these things. So I'm going to keep my hands here. This is a hands-on, yeah, that's too tight. This is a hands-on system. And what it'll do is it'll keep you centered on a freeway, typically, not a highway like this. But I'm not near the freeway right now. So we're just going to use what we have available. Using the adaptive cruise control system, I can pace the vehicle in front of me up to a target speed. It'll also detect lanes and then also center in those lanes. So it kind of really reduces inputs that I need to do with the steering wheel. A lot of vehicles now offer this. Some it's a package, some it's standard. On this particular touring trim, it is all standard. There are no options on this vehicle because it comes basically fully loaded from the factory. Yeah, this system seems to work pretty good. It centers enough that it's going to cut back fatigue, though obviously on a highway like this, you're not going to rely too much on the auto centering. So this vehicle does not have an off-road mode, but when has that ever stopped me? Especially because this does have a hill descent control, and I want to use that. So we're going to take this to our Peninsula off-road course and see how it does, both in the dirt and on steep inclines. Now, you might be asking, why are we doing so many tests at the Peninsula course and we're not taking everything out to our test hill out in Ellensburg, which is a much bigger set of roads and challenges? And really it comes down to, we're coming, as I'm filming this, we're coming up to the month of June, not quite there yet. Through the months of April and May, it's kind of really hazardous up on the hill because we've had snow. There's a lot of snow runoff. It freezes and it thaws, and it creates a very treacherous kind of condition. If you want to see what I'm talking about, take a look at my Raptor R video. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Ford F-150 Raptor R got it stuck on the side of the hill. And really, you need a vehicle with really, really extreme capability to even try to do something like that during the spring months. However, next month we're going to add in the new road. We're going to do some extra improvements over there, and we'll be back at the test hill with extreme off-roaders, or not extreme off-roaders, but more off-road purposed vehicles very soon. So in the meantime, let's test this little crossover on our little course. So what we have here is a very challenging course, but it gives us an opportunity to test out a lot of the features for off-road capabilities, like if you're going to go up a trailhead or something like that. So getting to the course here shouldn't be a big deal. We have some little cuts in the road here, and this is sporting about 8.2 inches of ground clearance. Oop, already shifting some of that power around. Now the gas motor is going to cycle on and off depending on my use. I'm just going to keep the drive mode in normal because that seems appropriate. If we have issues, then I'll change the drive mode. Okay, now we're going to climb. Let's check out that approach angle because my sensor is going off and I don't want to rip the front bumper off. Park, park. Okay, so that's going to be a bit of a rub. But we're going to start lifting at this point, so I think we'll be okay. But I'm going to listen for any issues here. So vehicles like the Toyota Venza, of course the Subaru Forester, they all got over this under their own power. Now I got to say, this direct shift transmission, I can crawl so incredibly slow. It's actually really cool. Just a little throttle and we just inch forward. Now we're going to settle down on the right here, probably scrape a little. Yeah, we're scraping a little, but we should be lifting soon here. Okay, now at this point, we're lifting these tires. Can they shift power around? I'm just keeping the throttle steady. Oh, it's moving us forward. It's moving us forward. I lifted too soon. There we go. Oh, yeah, I had to be careful settling down. Okay, well, it got us through. I do smell a little bit of clutch, though. So something's working hard under the hood here. Yeah, that's not a great smell. Anyway, it got through. Let's now test this hill descent control. There is a logging road test in here, which we've used for other vehicles. However, given this vehicle's target market, no off-road mode, and the fact that it has 19-inch wheels means I'm not doing the logging road today. However, I am going to do the steep climb, and mostly because I want to go up it so I can go back down it and show you how hill descent control works. But first we need to make sure we can get up it. Okay, here we go. Again, we're just in drive mode. Let's just do drive mode normal. So this does have some ruts, but nothing too deep, but it's definitely a lot steeper than our chicken run course. Yeah, I don't know if we can get up this. Now let's try snow mode, see if that improves things, because snow mode should immediately put more power to the back and then cut throttle so we get less wheel spin. Oh, snow mode's a beast. Oh, look at that. We just rolled right up. Okay, snow mode's legit. Wow, who knew? Well, we got one more thing to test here, and that is the hill descent control system. Now this will use individual wheel braking, which will do a better job than you can do just by hitting the brakes, because it'll brake individual wheels to keep you tracking straight. When I hit the button down here, we get a hill descent control option on there, and then you see we have a gauge that shows just how our exact target speed, which is really cool. We can then adjust that. With this one, it's set on the approach speed, and we'll watch that gauge change as we move, see? And then it'll lock in the speed and ease us down this kind of complicated, slightly cockeyed angle that I'm taking. So the base speed is 2 miles per hour. That's as slow as it goes. I'm just gonna lift my foot off the brake, and it grabs and eases us down. I don't have my foot on the brake at all. and this actually does a pretty good job there. I like it that it's 2 miles per hour as a base speed, as opposed to many systems which are 3 miles per hour. That actually makes a big difference in conditions like that. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. This has been my look at the 2023 Honda CR-V Hybrid Sport Touring. I think actually it's a really good vehicle if your primary use is around town and on the highway. If you're going to hit trails, obviously there's other vehicles that are just better suited, better built for that kind of functionality. Obviously a Subaru Forester Wilderness would be top of my list for that type of a vehicle, or the Ford Bronco Sport, the little Bronco, Badlands. Couldn't go wrong with either of those if you're going to spend a lot of time on the trails. If, like I said, commuter car, this vehicle pretty much checks all the boxes. And it's fun to drive too. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you, and I hope you enjoy them.